one of my all-time favorites is Mike Brown's going to join us. And Mike, we've been engaged with the season ticket holders kind of every other week, and we'd like to do that during the off season. Certainly going to be a longer off season. First and foremost, how are you doing? How's the family doing? Just kind of give me the Mike Brown update.
I'm doing great. I've been actually down in Albuquerque, New Mexico, for the past couple of months with my girlfriend, and the only thing I worry about is my oldest son is at my place in San Francisco, and it doesn't seem like he wants to leave.
Okay.
He's enjoying it. He's enjoying riding around in my cars, and I haven't heard anything in his voice that is saying that, Dad, I may want to go here, or may want to go back east to hang with my brother or anything like that. And that's a little worrisome because I don't know how the eviction process works in San Francisco, but it could be hard getting him up out of there.
All right, well, we're going to have fun with basketball, Warriors, and NBA stuff, but we can't be tone deaf to the society and the world that we're living in right now. So, give me your reaction to the intensity of the moment right now in terms of half the Warrior roster has been involved in peaceful protests. Clearly, this seems to be a tipping point in our country. We've all, you and I have been in the NBA for so long, and I love to think that the NBA is trying to modeling good behavior and maybe can make and affect social change. We've had Greg Popovich, Steve Kerr, and LeBron and Steph talk about using their platform to really make this change happen now and with this generation. Give me your just global view, Mike, on things that we've seen in our country and kind of where we're at a little bit.
Well, the thing that gives me the most hope and the most excitement is when you're watching the protesters out there. And, that includes obviously our players on the front line. It is exciting to see them out there. But when you're watching a group of protesters, you see all kinds of races from different backgrounds. And to see such a diverse group come together like they have these past couple of weeks or so has been heartwarming for me. The diversity in the crowd, the passion that the crowd has displayed in their cause that will benefit all of us long term, it has been fantastic to see. And so you hope that this young generation that's out there on the front lines every day protesting, continuing to make sure that people are brought to notice on the injustices out there is something that, you can't ask for anything better than what you're looking at today. The one thing that I'd like to say, this is a human rights issue. Racism and equality, that affects all humans. And so to see all humans starting to get more involved in it and participate in trying to eliminate it is a positive. And it starts with paying attention, it starts with listening, and it starts with awareness and having an empathy to all the causes out there so that hopefully change can happen, or action by change can happen going forward. And the coaches associations, they're doing that. They're starting to put an action plan together. The players have put action plans together. You see them out on the front lines. You saw LeBron partnering with a nonprofit voting agency. The league is doing it. And so you just hope that because of the pandemic and because people's lives right now are kind of at a standstill, that when everybody's everyday world begins again, that it doesn't go away like it has been, like it has done in the past. And but having said all that, like I said, more than anything else, I'm hopeful. I'm excited about the future, about the progress, mainly because of the diverse group of young people we have on our front lines right now.
Yeah, I think that in talking to some of our players, like to me, and we have some season ticket holder questions that relate to this, is like, okay, as the protests continue and then eventually dissipate, what are some concrete areas of action? I used a great word in terms of empathy, and President Obama said we make no progress unless we recognize ourselves in one another. And I think, I just think of some of the conversations you and I have had is that we always talk about basketball and the Warriors and things like that, but your son was at Oregon when my daughter was at Oregon. And a lot of our talks were about just dads having kids in college and they're at the same university. Recognize ourselves and one another. Our common humanity is something that President Obama stressed. And I think that's where it starts, is understanding the lives of other people and definitely appreciating that.
Yeah, it is huge, to be able to have an empathy towards others around you. If you have that, then in my opinion, you're going to have a heart that's open enough or big enough to not only listen and talk about change, but actually do something about it. And, make sure your actions are geared towards what you're believing and what you're feeling. And that's extremely important in today's world, because I think, we always look at it as, well, from time to time, we look at it as, it's tough in today's world. Well, our parents had it tougher than us. Their parents had it tougher than them. And so it's everybody's right to dig in, keep grinding, keep looking forward, keep trying to stay positive, so that we can not only make it better for ourselves right now, but especially for the generations after us.
I think also, too, when you're leading to something that Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich had talked about, a lot of people, is get educated. I think when people look at emancipation, then Reconstruction, then Jim Crow, then civil rights, if you don't know about Greenwood, Oklahoma, or if you don't know about Selma, Alabama, or Brown versus Board of Education, you need to understand and get educated on where we have been and why we still have just unacceptable behavior in 2020 of all years. Like, this is something that really has to be understood and appreciated from everyone. So getting educated about it. A lot of people don't know about Black Wall Street and what happened in Oklahoma, or don't know about Selma. We as a team got to see the movie Just Mercy, but Bryan Stevenson's book is just an incredible place to start for people. So when people say, hey, what can I do? Get educated, understand what's happened over hundreds of years to the place we've arrived at. I think that's critically important for everyone.
It is very important, but not only that, Fitzy, it's also just talking to people, to people of other races, listening to their stories. You can get educated on a daily basis by talking to your neighbor and listening to their story, and then you sharing your story with them. There's a prime example of that with a flight attendant from Southwest Airlines.
Right.
Jackie Ray Hill. She's on one of her legs to, I can't remember where, and she sits down next to a white gentleman, and they start having conversation about, the racial inequalities that are going on today. They share each other's stories. And next thing you know, she realizes, I think it was Doug Parker, the CEO of American Airlines. And they both got something out of that. And they shared their stories with others, which, again, showed that people need to talk to one another. They need to be able to have open dialogue. And sometimes that dialogue may be uncomfortable, but today is the day to start making those uncomfortable conversations comfortable going forward, so that we all can come together, not only by talking to other people, but educate yourself in not just the presidential election, but, I spoke about what LeBron's doing with trying to improve voting amongst our country, but even on the local level when it comes to voting. The newly elected mayor, Ella Jones, from Ferguson, Missouri. This is the first Black mayor elected in Ferguson, Missouri, and her number one platform that she spoke on is about public safety. It's about supporting the hiring of qualified police officers. And, Michael Brown was the young man that got shot and killed by police down there. So to me, again, that community educated themselves after, obviously, a tragic incident in the killing of Michael Brown down there. They educated themselves. They decided, okay, hey, maybe we need to make sure that our leaders on a local level within our community are supporting the same ideals that we have as a community. So let's make sure we go out there and vote to put the right person in place to get change or policy reform that needs to happen, especially within our community. So there's all types of ways you can impact what's going on now. But like you just said, I completely agree, educating yourself in a lot of different ways is one that's going to help more than anything change things for the long term as opposed to the short term.
No, I think you hit on it, Mike. And that's like, to me, it's the 3 E's in terms of empathy, education, and elections. And, it's not our place to tell people whom to vote for, but we can't have half the people not vote anymore. I mean, this is too big a situation, and LeBron's more than a vote organization. I tell young kids, go find 2 buddies or gals and register that have never voted before, 18, 19, 20. You're eligible at 18. Find people to register to vote, and you just hit on it perfectly. From your school board to whether it's a district attorney or police chief or city council, then to your state representatives, to your congressmen, your senators, and eventually the presidency. You can't sit on the sidelines anymore. I mean, and elections are where laws are changed and really where systemic change can be turned in a good direction. Sitting on the sidelines and protesting is really good, but effective change is done legally and through elections. And, I see 50% of the people voted who could have voted. That's just not good enough anymore for all of us.
100%. I mean, you're getting me excited talking about it now. Put me
Yep.
in. Put me in, baby. Oh.
Absolutely. So Mike, that's we will continue these dialogue in the Warriors. I know that Joe Lacob and Peter Guber, they put out a statement on where the Warrior organization stands, but that's going to be backed up with a whole program that is in the works right now. And to quote Peter, it's your mind, it's your heart, it's your wallet, and that's what the Warriors are going to be about. And we're going to be rolling out that program to be that effective model for change. You got to live it. Like, our organization has to live it and act and be the community citizen that we've always been, and be kind of a role model on how maybe other organizations can kind of follow suit. So I'm excited about that, and I love that the leadership comes from the top, from heart, mind, and wallet. We got a pretty powerful organization. We got a big platform. We'll see if we can affect that change and make that difference. So I'm looking forward to that. Let's get into hoops a little bit. I know it's an awkward kind of right-hand turn for a sec, but how do you think this long offseason is something that the coaches are going to address? I know if the league approves it, talking about a mini camp. I know talking to some of our vets, they're ready to come back and have a couple, 10-day, 2-week type of thing to make sure it's not March all the way to essentially December. We've never dealt with this long an offseason. What's your thoughts on what the Warriors need to do and how we address this long layoff?
Well, the first thing is, we as a staff took this time more than anything else to reevaluate ourselves individually and as a staff. So Steve led us down that path. It was great. It was uncomfortable dialogue at times because we've had so much success the last prior to this year, at least with the win-loss record, that really wasn't anything that we addressed. We just kept the years rolling one after another. But for us to be able to sit back and reflect within inside each of us, and then also to share that with the group, and then evaluate each other as a staff in whole, was very productive for us. And so we as a staff have a renewed energy and focus going into this upcoming season. Now, to top that off, we felt having a little bit of a break would be good for our guys, because our top 3 guys have played more basketball than anybody in the NBA.
Almost 100 extra games in terms of playoffs.
Well, but also what you have to factor in, I think both Clay and Draymond played some games during the Olympics and had some practices during the Olympics during this run. And so their numbers are way up there. And so to have a little bit of a break for our guys was something that we were looking forward to. But obviously with the pandemic and the extension of the break, it's a long time. And then Clay's injury and Steph's injury, it's a long time away from competitive sports. And so we would like to have some sort of a training camp, maybe the end of July, beginning of August, maybe have it in conjunction with another team that did not get invited down to the bubble. All that has to be approved, obviously, by the NBA, and then Bob and Steve and our ownership group and the players. But I think everybody is chomping at the bits to at least get back together, to have something formally, so that we can break up the 8 or 9 months that we're facing from the end of the season for us in March to the beginning of the season, which starts maybe the end of November.
You mentioned the word productive, and I think about when people look at a one-loss record, they don't see finding Eric Paschal or the improvement of Marquise Chris, the acquisition of Andrew Wiggins, the tail end of play for Jordan Poole, the Damian Lee becoming like a full-fledged player, finding Mike Mulder. I mean, there was a lot of productive moments in competitive situations, even though the wins and losses didn't reflect on that. Tell me about Wiggins, because I know Ron Adams had talked about just in 12 games, wait, this guy's a better defender than we thought. This guy's a 20-point scorer. He kind of fit in as a guy in the chemistry. I mean, having Wiggins with Steph, Clay, Draymond, it gets me excited knowing you've got Kavan and Paschal and Poole and Mulder and Lee and a lottery pick and a trade exception. I want the season to start tomorrow because I see the assets that we have. But, give us a thought on Wiggins and maybe Paschal and Marquise a little bit.
I tell you what, Andrew is more than a pleasant surprise for me. And he should get all of you guys out there excited, because I'm definitely excited to see him take it to another level next year when the season gets started. For sure, 100%, he's a better defender than what I thought. Not only is he a better defender, he's stronger than what I thought.
Yep.
And you think that he's wiry thin. He reminds me of a guy. I'm dating myself. I hate to say this, but I've been in the league a long time. Back in the day, I used to coach Reggie Williams from Georgetown.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
6'8", long, thin, athletic guy. And Reggie was way stronger than what he looked. I mean, if he laid that forearm on you, you can feel it. If he hit you, you can feel it. And it's similar to Andrew. He if he puts that forearm on you and he sits down, he can wrestle with the best of them, especially at that small forward position. And so to be able to see that, especially in meaningful games, playoff games and big games next year against some of the better players in the NBA, I'm excited and I'm looking forward to that. On top of that, or on the flip side of the ball, the thing that surprised me the most is his feel and his ability to pass the ball.
I'm with you 100%.
When he drives, Fitzy, he's going to have Steph sitting in this corner. He's going to have Clay sitting in this corner. And first of all, the ocean is going to seem so big that with the way he finishes at the rim and or gets fouled, he's going to generate easy baskets just because of the spacing that he's going to have for the first time in his career. He's not going to necessarily know what to do. But as soon as teams understand that you can't guard this guy one-on-one, you can't stop this guy from getting to the rim and finishing, and they start bringing guys in and trying to mess with different types of funky rotations, he's going to find guys. He's going to find guys, and it's very easy, very natural for him to do, but more importantly, he's a willing passer, and that's what our team's all about. So, he could score with the best of them. We've seen that. He's scored 20-plus for I don't know how many years in his career. That's exciting. He gets to the rim. He can finish. He's a better shooter than what I thought, too. And there are all types of pluses that you see with Andrew. But I tell you, watch his passing ability next year, and then watch his ability to defend at a high level against some of the other elite small forwards out there. You take another step, Pascal, he's probably going to be first-team all-rookie. My nickname for him is Grown Man. He plays like a grown man, and when he hits you or you try to hit him, you feel that his strength is just on another level. I tell my sons that all the time. You may be in the weight room because you're sports and all that, but you don't have this grown man strength. But don't step out of line. And Eric has that right now at a young age, and that's what's exciting. And you give Theo Robertson a lot of credit, because one of the things that Eric did very well when he first started playing this past year is he got into the paint and he was able to finish through contact.
Yeah.
2 guys or 3 guys or whatever. Then they started sending more and more guys and bigger guys at him once he got to his sweet spot. And he was still trying to force shots through a defense that was a lot longer than him and sometimes bigger than him, and it got him into trouble. And now he's done a tremendous job of transitioning from trying to finish all the time to trying to find guys, especially in the corners. And like I said, Theo worked with him on that all year. It started paying off as the year went along. And now with the combination of his ability to pass and to score at the rim or to shoot that little pull-up, the sky's the limit for him. But again, I'd like to see him because he's going to have some tough matchups. Obviously, like Andrew at that small forward spot, and so I'd like to see him sit down and guard guys like LeBron and Paul George and Kawhi. And that's going to be a challenge for him, especially in big games, in meaningful games that he hadn't played in yet in his career. But the sky's the limit for him. I'm excited about him. And then, going to the next guy, Marquise. He's a blessing in disguise. He's got to be one of the most skilled big men that I've been around, with his ability to handle the ball on the perimeter and also make plays for his teammates. He can make plays off the dribble with handoffs and then roll into the rim, or he can make plays off the dribble by guys cutting back door and him making that pass. Better passer than what I thought, better ball handler than what I thought, and tremendous feel along the perimeter, which bodes well with the two guys that we have that move better than anybody else in the NBA off the ball, in Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. You'll see the combination of Marquise and one of those two guys make some huge plays for us on that perimeter many times in the coming seasons.
I think also, too, I'm thinking of my friend Sean Livingston, where as he got older, he would say, Fitz, I feel bouncy tonight. And then some nights he didn't. Marquise Chris is bouncy every night, Mike. I mean, he has a vertical game and vertical spacing on that lob rim runner thing that very few guys possess in this league.
Don't sleep on him, because if you do, you may be hanging up on some little boy's wall, poster. That athletic. And our guys, you know how they thrive off of bigs that know how to roll and finish above the rim. He is definitely one of those guys.
Hey, so put your fan hat on for a second. What's it going to be like watching the restart in Orlando? I mean, obviously, we're hoping that the Warriors get approved to have a mini camp. It'd be great to see the guys and a lot of productive movement with our roster and staying sharp with this long layoff. But, we've been in the league a long time. I mean, I want to watch basketball, but guys going to be competing for a championship. Give me your thoughts on watching that in Orlando.
No, I tell you, you hit it right on the head. I'm a basketball fan as it is. I do think I have the best job in the world. Too bad I wasn't good enough to play, but I think I have the next best seat in the house. And so whether I'm coaching a game or I'm part of a game or I'm watching it on TV, I'm enjoying it. And to go without basketball for the 3 or 4 months that we've gone without it already and not have an NBA champion right now is obviously disappointing, but more than understandable. And so to get the league going back again down in Orlando is exciting. It's exciting for everybody that loves the game, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see how it shakes out. It's gonna be interesting, from the standpoint that these are unusual circumstances. Everybody's talking about, are guys going to be physically ready to compete at a high level, and are injuries and the COVID-19 going to pop up again? I think what's is big a topic, but may not be getting as much talk or much play as the other things is how guys will last mentally. Because I think the mental wear and tear of being in an environment like that day after day after day without leaving, possibly not seeing your families, is going to be a lot tougher on the younger teams than the older veteran teams. The older veteran teams that have been around, those guys are more even killed. They've been through a lot that would challenge them to sometimes not get too high or not get too low. And so I think those teams have an advantage being in that environment more so than the younger teams do, because, when we travel and we're together quite a bit. We're basically like a family. But there are those times when Steve says, hey, nobody come to the gym tomorrow, or we got tomorrow off, and you're able to get away and recharge and be with your family. Obviously, even at night, you're able to leave the gym after practice and go home and have dinner with your family or friends, or just do whatever you do. It's not going to happen down there. You're going to be together 24/7. So think about all those times when you had to sit in the back of the Chevy wagon, those old wagons, and you're sitting next to your two brothers and sisters, and one's on this side, the other's on that side. You're like, Don't touch me. Don't touch me. There's going to be a lot of that the coaches have to figure out how to keep going forward in a positive, cohesive manner, baby. That's going to be the challenging part.
Mike, let's finish off with some season ticket holder questions. And the first one starts with, for Mike Brown, the difference between coaching LeBron and coaching Steph.
You know what? They're both competitors. They're both extremely smart, have a great feel out on the floor. And they both can hurt you in a lot of different ways. The one thing that I think, another thing that I think that they're similar is they both enjoy the game, and they display their joy of the game out on the floor at all times. Mm-hmm. Not only when they do something well, but more so when their teammates do something well. You can see the fun, the joy, the excitement, the passion they have for the game and their teammates doing great things. If there was a biggest difference, you know, obviously Steph has a young family, and LeBron just started his family when I had him. One of the things that LeBron always wanted, he wanted his teammates with him. And so he was always, and not that Steph doesn't do it, but LeBron was really adamant about always having his teammates going bowling or going to this party together or going to this dinner together. And, you know, that type of camaraderie that he showed at a young age helped him have success at a younger age. Steph does it, but not necessarily to the level or to the amount of people that LeBron does. So that would probably be one thing off the floor. And then on the floor, you know, Steph can facilitate, but I think his best asset is his ability to put the ball in the hole. And he could do it most effectively from range, although he is good finishing high off the glass in traffic. LeBron, he's a facilitator at heart. He can score like Steph can pass, but LeBron wants to set his guys up. He gets a joy or a kick out of setting his guys up and having somebody else score. But when he needs to, he can turn it on and put that ball in the hole himself.
All right, one of them, and I know a little bit of this, but it says, why do you wear sneakers on the courts when you're coaching? People checking out your shoe game. Give people the history on that.
You know, so I hope my mom's not listening. Mama, I hope you're not a season ticket holder. So I love my mom to death. She's a beautiful lady, but you know, and she's older now, so she can take me saying this. But you know, she's got some feet that aren't the prettiest in the world. We just put it that way. And I think I inherited those feet. And so, guys, if you ever see me outside walking around San Francisco with open-toed shoes or sandals, I apologize right now. So long story short, the hard shoes bother my feet. So one day I bought a brand new pair of dress shoes, and I didn't try them on. They weren't my size. I took them to the arena, put them on at the arena, and my left bunion, boy, it was on fire. So I'm like, man, I got to do something about this. So I had some pretty nice shoes that I had because I was going to go out afterwards to grab something to eat. I had some pretty nice shoes that I had one day. Put those dress sneakers on. When I say nice shoes, it was dress sneakers. Put those on. Man, they felt comfortable. I went out on the floor. Zaza Pachulia, who I have a lot of respect for in his dress ability, he says to me, Coach, looks nice.
Yeah.
I said, really, Zaza? He said, yeah, it looks nice. So I said, oh, okay. He goes, don't ever change. I said, you don't have to tell me twice. If I'm looking fresh in your eyes, I'm doing this. And so it just kind of happened because of that. And ever since, I've been wearing the dress sneakers.
I love that. I love that story. One fan wants to know, how would you describe your duties on the staff? You know, you mentioned Theo working with Pascal. We know Jaron has kind of defense stuff and the big guys. Give people kind of where Steve has Mike Brown. And I know you're the rotation guy, the minutes guy, and really the consigliere to Steve. But give people, if you were describing your role within the Warriors staff, what would it be?
I think I do a little bit of everything. You know, I help with the defense. Obviously, I help with the offense. I do, especially when games are really close. You know, it's hard as a head coach to listen to everybody's suggestions and try to dissect which ones will work because that time goes quick.
Right.
So Steve and I, especially during close games, we have a lot of dialogue back and forth during that time. At times I'll work with Draymond, during shoot around or maybe even after a practice. And then, whatever Steve needs me to do, I'll do. I guess I'm a jack of all trades, and I try to help out wherever and whenever I can, as well as, like you said, take care of the minute sheet.
But also, too, you're 12-0 as the postseason fill-in coach, too. So that's the other thing that always impressed me about you is that not only your head coaching acumen, not only who you are as a person, but in a tough time when Steve was having some health stuff, you stepped into that head chair because you had done it before, and the team never missed a beat. And that taught me a lot about preparation. That's always, when I think of Mike Brown, I think always prepared every time, all the time. And some people aren't. Some people put their feet up and say, I might be along for the ride on this. You were ready when the team needed you most under the most pressured situation. And I think that's a big part of who you are.
I appreciate that. But I tell you what, Fitzy, I was nervous as heck. Steve hit me because he traveled to Portland with us. We won game two. He travels to Portland. And I'm thinking, because he was on and off, feeling bad the whole year, but he always fought through it. And I think, okay, he's going to fight through it. But I am thinking there's a part of me like, okay, maybe not. And shoot around morning, he comes to me, he goes, I don't know if I can go tonight. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is real. This is not faking. This is not one of the school alarm where the principal comes on and says, hey, we're going to do a practice alarm bell fire drill. I was like, what that? And so, I obviously started getting myself ready. And a couple hours later, next thing you know, I'm coaching. But our team is such a veteran team. All of our guys stepped up from Steph to KD to Clay to Draymond. They were all fantastic. But I tell you what, if there was one guy that really helped me during that time was Andre. Andre Iguodala was, man, he was freaking fantastic. He kept me uplifted. He kept me focused, and which allowed me to continue trying to lead the group down the right path. But all of our guys, again, all of our veteran players helped out. But if there's a guy that I remember more than anybody else was Andre stepping up to the plate and echoing whatever I was saying, and also giving me advice or consultation from time to time during that winning streak.
So, Mike, finish off with kind of a thought to the season ticket holders and Dub Nation and stuff. I think the one thing that has been great in this really difficult time is that we are trying to reach out and maintain that connection, because the people that love the Warriors and the people that work for the Warriors, we are so close and we've known each other for so long. I mean, for me, I'm heading into season 27, and I see so many of the same fans from Oracle to Chase Center and all the trials and tribulations to all the exaltations. And I miss seeing people. I miss seeing you, and so this is kind of a chance to at least, chat a little bit. But tell people where you are with Dub Nation and just your thoughts and a little maybe message to finish this one off.
Well, I tell you what, I'm excited about our future. You tell me if I'm going over, Fitzy, but I want to tell a story about this past year.
Go for it.
Our one-loss record, obviously was not good this past year. We're 30th out of 30 teams. But, I would tell our fans, I would tell our season ticket holders that this is a special place. I've been in the league since 1992, and I've seen a lot. And to be here during our championship run was fantastic. But for me, this past year was a season I really enjoyed, and all of the guys enjoyed it because it really spoke high volumes to us as coaches and players of how valuable it is to be a part of this organization and how exciting it can be based on the culture and the foundation that Joe and Peter and Bob and Steve and then our top guys have laid. We were in Brooklyn this year on the road, and about an hour and a half before tip-off, Steve Kerr gets a call from Bob Myers, and he tells Steve to not play Glenn Robinson and Alec Burke. And, Steve was devastated. The two good guys, Glenn Robinson started for us and was playing well. Alec Burke He was our sixth man, and you know, we tried to win every game we played, and those guys were a big part of us winning the games that we did win. So Steve came back in the locker room. He tells the coaches, you know, what's going on. He's obviously sad. We're sad. He sends one of the young coaches out to the floor to get the players that were working out, the coaches out there, and he calls everybody into the locker room. Steve says to the guys, he says, hey, you know, I just want to let you guys know that we're not going to play Glenn tonight nor Alec because they've been traded. And Steve, you know, being as open and honest as he is, he expressed how difficult it was for him to hear those guys have been traded because he valued their presence and what they brought to the team and what they added to the culture. And when he's told the guys that, you know, I like to observe a lot and look at guys' faces, you would have thought that, you know, we just lost an NBA championship.
Yeah.
Or somebody, you know, knock on wood, would have passed or gotten, you know, hurt really bad, and they're in the hospital or something like that. Now, the locker room was down, and Steve sensed it, so he allowed each guy to speak about whatever they wanted to say regarding Alec and Glenn, and everybody spoke. Some guys got emotional. I mean, here are veteran guys getting emotional. Glenn spoke, Alec spoke, and to hear everybody talk and to see the emotions coming from those two guys that got traded. They got traded from the worst team in the league to a playoff team in the Philadelphia Sixers, and they did not want to go. I mean, it hurt them just like it hurt everybody else. But to see that at that time in the locker room coming from everybody, not just them, just made me understand how special this organization is and how important and privileged I feel like I am to be a part of it. And so as season ticket holders, we thank you guys because you guys add to that. And I want you to know that you guys are part of it. You guys have made it as special as it is. And this is something that we like to continue going forward and get back to what we had the last or the previous 5 years, get back to that championship level. And with all the pieces that we have, the renewed excitement of some of the guys that have been injured and that are coming back, with our season ticket holders, I think it can be done. In my opinion, it's going to be exciting times ahead, especially with the new building and the area and the whole thing surrounding the Warriors. It's going to be a sight to see, and I'm glad you all are a part of it.
Mike, that's incredibly well said. And next time I see you, I know these social distancing rules are tough, but you're getting a hug anyway. So I miss you, and I'm looking forward to some type of training camp or mini camp just to everybody to see each other and be around each other again. So thanks for taking the time. I don't think there's really a better person when we have Bob and Steve and yourself, you know, speak to the season ticket holders and so many of our players. Everybody messages the same, and everybody, I think, can feel what the Warriors mean to everyone. So thanks for taking the time, Mikey. It was great.
It's anytime. And season ticket holders, thank you. And like I said before, I mean this. Without you guys, this all wouldn't be possible. So keep supporting us, and we'll keep trying to put that product out on the floor. You guys can not only cheer for, but be proud of when you're walking or out venturing across the country. Thank you. And
we will tell people, we'll give you as much info as this next couple months unfold in terms of ticketing at Chase Center and all the, you know, precautions in regards to health and everything that's going to be allowed. But the Warriors are going to be at the forefront of all of that. And education, empathy, and elections. Think about that, all three. If everybody do that for these next several months and keep it rolling all the way through November, when we got a really big election coming up. But thank you for joining us, and we'll be doing this, you know, throughout the offseason. Hopefully grab some of our players and keep communicating with all of Dub Nation. Thanks again.
Let's take care, bye.
You too.